You've just heard a recording of yourself talking. Maybe it was a voicemail, a podcast, a video meeting. And instantly, cringe. That can't be how I sound, can it? Your voice feels too high, too nasal, too robotic, too not you. You flinch. You feel self-conscious. You wonder how anyone puts up with listening to you at all. But here's the thing, almost everyone hates the sound of their own voice. So what's going on? Is it about biology? Psychology? Identity? Today we're unpacking why the human voice, a core part of how we interact with the world, can feel so alien when played back to us. And what that reveals about how we hear, how we see ourselves, and how much of you is shaped by perception. You sound different, literally. Let's start with a basic truth. Your voice does sound different to others than it does to you. When you speak, you hear your voice in two ways. Through air conduction, the sound waves traveling out of your mouth and back into your ears. Through bone conduction, vibrations traveling through your skull, jaw, and neck directly into your inner ear. The second path, bone conduction, gives your voice richness and depth. It adds resonance, especially in lower frequencies, that makes your voice sound fuller and warmer to you. But a recording? That only captures air conduction. It strips away that low-end warmth. So when you hear your recorded voice, you're hearing what others have always heard, a thinner, higher-pitched, more external version of your sound. This mismatch is jarring. It's not just a recording, it's a dissonant mirror. Cognitive dissonance. That's not me. But it's not just acoustics. It's also identity. You've spent your entire life with an internal sense of what you sound like. That voice, deepened by bone conduction, has become part of your self-concept. So when you hear something else, it doesn't just sound wrong. It feels wrong. This is a classic case of cognitive dissonance. When your mental image of yourself clashes with new sensory data, you hear a voice that's unfamiliar. It doesn't match the internal version of you. It feels disconnected, alien. And that discomfort? It triggers a subtle threat response. Your brain flags it as wrong, unnatural, awkward. You cringe, not because your voice is bad, but because it challenges your internal narrative. We judge ourselves more harshly. Another reason people hate their voice? Because we're hypercritical of ourselves. When you hear a recording, you're not just processing the sound. You're analyzing every pause, pitch, and inflection. Am I talking too fast? Do I sound annoying? Why do I say like so much? But here's the truth. Most people aren't scrutinizing your voice the way you are. They're focused on what you're saying, not the frequency of your consonants. The self-criticism is a form of spotlight effect, a psychological bias where we assume others notice and judge us more than they actually do. You hear your voice through the lens of perfectionism. Others hear it through the lens of communication. That gap makes all the difference. Your voice reveals more than you think. Voice isn't just sound, it's signal. It carries information about your mood, age, gender, region, class, confidence level, and more. And we know this intuitively. We judge others by their voices. Accents, tone, speed, all shape our impressions. So when we hear our own voice, it feels like exposure. We're suddenly aware of what we're revealing, our anxiety, our roots, our mannerisms. Things we usually forget we're broadcasting. It's like being overheard in a private moment. For some, especially those with social anxiety or self-image issues, this exposure can feel deeply uncomfortable. Because the voice becomes a mirror of identity, and not always one we like. Cultural conditioning and vocal expectations. Voice preference isn't just personal, it's cultural. Societies develop norms around what voices are considered attractive, authoritative, or professional. For example, deep voices are often associated with power and confidence. Certain accents are valorized while others are stigmatized. Vocal fry or uptalk in women is often unfairly criticized. So when you hear your voice and it doesn't align with those social ideals, it can trigger internalized shame or embarrassment. You're not just hearing yourself, you're hearing how society might hear you. and judging accordingly. Voice and vulnerability. There's a reason voice is so deeply personal. It's tied to vulnerability. Your voice is how you express emotion, form connection, assert presence. It's one of the most exposed parts of your identity. We can change our clothes, our expressions, even our posture. But our voice? It feels unchangeable. Inescapable. So disliking your voice can feel like disliking a part of who you are. Especially in an era where voice is everywhere. Recorded, broadcasted, analyzed, hearing yourself can feel like an uncomfortable confrontation with your own social footprint. The voice in your head isn't just sound. Let's get a bit deeper. When you hear your voice in your head, it's not just auditory. It's connected to thought, intention, emotion. It feels embodied. Whole. But a recording? It separates voice from intent. It strips away internal experience and turns you into an object. It's like seeing a picture of yourself blinking. The context is gone. What remains is a flattened moment that doesn't feel like you. This disconnect between subjective experience and objective playback is part of why voice recordings feel so dissonant. It's not that your voice is bad, it's that it's been divorced from the consciousness that gave it life. Can you learn to like your voice? The good news, yes, you can. Familiarity helps. The more you hear your recorded voice, the less alien it becomes. Your brain adjusts. The dissonance fades. Voice coaches often say that even professional speakers dislike their voice at first, but grow into it over time. Some practical tips. Listen regularly to your recorded voice in neutral contexts. Practice speaking aloud and recording yourself to build comfort. Focus on content, not perfection. Your message matters more than your tone. Acknowledge emotion. It's okay to feel self-conscious. Most people do. Eventually, what once sounded foreign can start to sound familiar. Even friendly. Final thoughts. Our voices are strange things. We use them constantly, but rarely hear them the way others do. They carry our thoughts, our emotions, our personality, yet when played back, they often sound alien, flat, or unflattering. But maybe the problem isn't your voice. Maybe it's the distance between perception and self-image. Between the person we think we are and the one the world hears. And maybe, just maybe, hating your voice is a sign of how deeply personal and powerful it really is. So the next time you cringe at a voicemail, or wince during a podcast playback, pause. Take a breath. Remind yourself, that voice is yours. Not perfect. Not polished. But real. And over time, as your brain catches up to your reflection, it might just start to sound like you. If this made you think about your own voice a little differently, consider liking, subscribing, or sharing this with someone who still refuses to listen to their own voice notes. What do you think your voice says about you? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, you sound better than you think. Always.